And obviously it is Super Bowl 50, so there's a lot on the line here. I'm wondering whether or not Denver has what it takes to beat Carolina. Carolina has looked as close to perfect a football team as you can look through the entire season. 15-1 during the regular season. They're playing their 19th game. Denver, you know, they've had their ups and downs, even though I'm still trying to figure out how they won the AFC Championship after all that they've gone through. We were sitting here 3 weeks ago wondering whether or not Peyton Manning was going to be able to finish the season. Now he's starting the Super Bowl.
And this can be the fairy tale ending for him. We'll talk more about the quarterback matchup in a bit. The Broncos are no slouch. Best defense in the league, lead the league in sacks. But Carolina, my goodness, number one in takeaways, averaged 31 points per game. The offense really feeds off of the defense. To me, the one thing that cannot happen if Denver, forget win the game, if they're even going to make this a game, they absolutely cannot turn the ball over. I don't see how they survive more than one turnover. Maybe they can't even survive one.
Denver has to get the lead and rely on their defense like they did against New England.
Yeah.
But also, what disturbed me a little bit about Denver 2 weeks ago against New England is that they couldn't put New England away offensively. They couldn't get a first down. They were 3 and out on 4 consecutive possessions, and it kept New England in the game. If they do that with Carolina, Carolina's going to score a couple of touchdowns. So that's what scares me. Denver has to get out in front early for them to have a chance to win this football game.
They've got to find a way to make some first downs and play keep away from that Carolina offense, but at the same time not turn it over. So you got to be risky enough to move the ball, but you can't be too risky. Peyton Manning, the reduced arm strength, that certainly worries you against Carolina. Look, all signs point to Carolina winning this thing. We said it last week. If this was a series, no doubt in my mind Carolina would win 4 of 7 or 3 of 5. But it's only one game. Denver has to find a way to summon it, and it is the best defense in the league. We say that just kind of like it's a throwaway line. Very often in Super Bowls, your New York Giants did it twice against New England. The better defense often wins. Even if it's not the better team collectively, often the better defense wins on Super Bowl Sunday.
I'm just curious, was Peyton Manning telling the truth when he said this would be his last rodeo? I kind of get the feeling that as the weeks have progressed that it is. We'll talk more about that as well. But we've got the coaches talking about this.
Yeah, let's hear from the coaches right now.
But I think the thing that's happened, we've had a lot of new faces and young players become contributors to this football team, and I think it's brought us together. We kind of knew we were all involved, we were all contributing.
We've been the underdogs all season, a lot of games. People don't like how we win the ugly way. It's not appealing to people. They like seeing blowout. We haven't blew out anybody, so they don't like the ugly wins.
It's situational football now from here on out, and as you said, it is a no holds bar. There really is no next game. So the approach has to be we're going to do things that we need to do.
Yeah, I think every team's goal and every team's number one box they want to check is to make the Super Bowl. If you don't believe in yourself that you can make it, you have no chance. But this is what we've been building to now for a few years.
He's a key. Olsen is a key.
No doubt.
By the way, folks, they actually do practice for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's more than just press conferences and more
they
than
get
just
out there and throw it around
skits
some,
and and all that other stuff. And Beyonce, it goes beyond that just a little bit. They do practice once in a while.
You know who meets the press the most? Way too much. The quarterbacks. Every single day, Peyton Manning and Cam Newton. I don't either. I would go nuts. But what a quarterback matchup we've got, right? Cam Newton named NFL MVP last night. Right. Peyton Manning, a 5-time MVP. The oldest quarterback to start a Super Bowl at age 39. Newton is going to be the face of this league. I mean, that's starting now. Peyton has been the face. The guy who my wife can identify, even, not in his uniform or whatever. I love this matchup just from how intriguing it is. Cam obviously at the very top of his game. Peyton is not. But boy, this is pretty interesting.
The career of Peyton Manning has been very interesting. By the way, my wife is rooting for Denver too because she's from Tennessee, and Peyton Manning played at Tennessee. But Peyton Manning didn't win the Heisman Trophy. He hasn't had a great playoff record. He has won a Super Bowl, but as great as he has been, he just seems to some
Only
of the
one
things
Super Bowl
kind of avoids him. And I think a lot of people would love to see him, as we mentioned earlier during the tease. He'd like to ride out in the sunset like John Wayne.
And you mentioned the Heisman. Had you heard that Newton would become only the second player ever to win the Heisman, a college national championship, NFL MVP, and the Super Bowl. Do you know who the other one was? Only one other player has done all that.
John Elway?
Marcus Allen.
Really?
It's pretty interesting.
Holy
I mean,
cow.
so that's quite the list. I first heard about Cam when he had to transfer to Blinn Junior College, and I had a buddy who lived down there and covered that team.
All right.
And so from Blinn Junior College for 1 year to everything he's done now, and about to be the face of the league.
Thank goodness the criticism of Cam Newton's celebrations took a back seat to how he really plays.
Appreciate how good this guy
Because
is.
the guy is going to be a great player if he stays healthy.
Only 2 players on the Denver defense are as big or heavy as Cam Newton. He's bigger than 9 of the starting defenders for the Broncos. That's why it's so hard to bring down.
I think Cam Newton is big enough that he'd be able to finish this gigantic hamburger as a pregame meal. What do you think?
I would not recommend it. I would not recommend it. Let's hear from Peyton and Cam before the big game.
It's a very special opportunity to be playing in this game, like I mentioned, and to be playing in Super Bowl 50. If you have any appreciation for the history of the game, and certainly you've watched Super Bowls, played in Super Bowls, have a sibling that's played in Super Bowls, it does make it maybe even more special.
We know what we have to do to get prepared for this game. Offensively, we know what they're doing pretty much. They have long-rangey guys that are capable of creating turnovers by either stripping the ball or intercepting it. For us, we just have to be on our P's and Q's, run precise and throw precisely in their secondary to be effective.
Well, I tell you, Carolina spreads the field so beautifully offensively because of his option abilities. Yes. It just seemed, at least in the playoffs, and to some degree during the regular season, how they spread the field. Yeah. Even Olsen runs deep routes, and it really
they built this offense around him,
and he has so much time to throw the football.
He does.
His ability to run the football is kind of like a play action.
That's right.
And he just gets so much time, and I've never poise is a big thing, and obviously Peyton Manning has poise. But it just seems like it's so effortless for Cam Newton when he's playing a football game, and when he gets into that relaxed mode,
unstoppable.
He just thinks better. His mental approach is better. On paper, I don't see how Carolina gets beat in this game. But obviously, Super Bowls, we've seen, as you mentioned, the Giants beat New England twice. How that happened, I'm still trying to figure out.
Carolina 17-1 this year. The one team that beat them, Atlanta. And they were able to get pressure. And getting pressure is not just your defensive linemen and linebackers that blitz. Denver's got great ones. But it's your cover guys. Right. They've got to be able to cover for a few seconds for defensive ends to get to the quarterback. And to me, that's where our guy Chris Harris comes in. Denver's secondary is going to have to be really good if they're going to be able to get the pressure on Cam. Right. They need to get to win.
Go figure. Kansas football has been down for how long now?
Since Mangino left.
And the two starting defensive backs for Denver are from
probably
Kansas.
the 2 best cornerbacks in the league, tandem-wise. Chris Harris and Aqib Talib. They are fantastic. He was undrafted out of Kansas. Now he's an All-Pro, starting in the Super Bowl. Did not get to play in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. He was on crutches with a knee injury. He gets to play this time. He's all kinds of fired up for this thing.
All right, let's hear what Chris has to say.
It's a totally different team. If you look at that game, I didn't play in the game, Von Miller didn't play in the game, Derek Wolf didn't play in the game. Half our defense didn't play, so it's a totally different defense. I think guys are focused. We have a different attitude with this defense, and we feel like if we can play our game, we can be dominant. There's going to be a lot of scramble drills where you got to cover. We've been practicing covering longer. That's the best thing you can do as a corner. You can't really try to focus on stopping him. You got to try to stop him in the air. So I'm going to just do my best, whatever I can, to eliminate the passes and throw them my way.
All right, so there's yet another reason for people to root for Denver.
He came back last summer, and they gave him named a street in his honor there in Bixby, Chris Harris Drive. I'd like to see him driving down Chris Harris Drive with the Super Bowl ring. That'd be fun. We hope to see Chris back here as a Super Bowl champ.
Have him sit on the top of a convertible.
Exactly.
What's wrong with it?
Exactly.